Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Producer Dave.
And we're here to talk about Upgrade, in case you couldn't tell by the poster sitting here right next to us. I can never figure this out.
I don't think we should talk about this, Cecil.
I feel like that's not you talking, Producer Dave. Anyway, guys, we went and saw an early screening of Upgrade. You're seeing this tonight if you're watching it when it goes up. We saw it last night as you're watching this. We were embargoed until tonight, but we wanted to go ahead and record this after having watched it. Me especially. I think I might have liked this one a little bit more than Dave, but we'll see as we get into this because I really enjoyed Upgrade. It was a trailer reaction that we did not terribly long ago, and we all, I don't think Dave saw the trailer. He went in blind to this one, so I'm interested to get his opinion on it, but we all really enjoyed the trailer. The Red Band trailer was badass. So we're going to do this like we normally do our reviews. We'll talk about our overall thoughts, and we'll talk about the story, the acting, the effects, all that good stuff in turn. Dave, what were your overall thoughts on it?
I did enjoy the film.
Yeah.
Overall, I don't know if I would have paid to see it in the theater, but I would have gotten my money's worth. So I wouldn't have been disappointed.
Fair enough. And I will say that, yeah, overall I enjoyed this movie. I think there were some, perhaps some dialogue and scripting issues, but outside of that, I really enjoyed the film, and we'll get into all that. But yeah, overall, we both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's positive right there. So, getting into the story, this is just like the trailer showed. There's some stuff that we don't want to say. We're not going to spoil this one.
Right.
So there are some things that are set up at the beginning that aren't in the trailer that we won't spoil, but we'll just say that there's a gentleman that is put into a position where he has to upgrade himself.
Right.
And the movie is set in a future society.
Yeah.
It's not too distant, but it is distant enough that there have been a lot of societal changes, and we'll get into that down the line. But our main character is sort of an analog guy, if you will. He is into fixing cars with his hands, having the old muscle cars, the fuel-injected muscle cars, and he's a grease monkey that even has a back and forth with his wife about the fact that he feels sort of out of place because it's a futuristic society where we see juxtaposed his wife rides home in a completely automated vehicle that she's just chilling and doing whatever she wants while it drives her home, kind of thing. And so, that's what I thought was interesting. And like I said, we'll get into the production design, but story-wise, the setting it's not a far distant future.
Yeah.
It's nothing you haven't seen before, but it's not like a distant future like Demolition Man, or it doesn't feel like a completely redesigned future. It feels like an upgraded version of our society, which fits within the theme, obviously. Then this guy is put into a position where he has to upgrade himself. He has something personal happen to him, and he has to figure out why this happened throughout the movie.
Well, that's what I was about to allude to with the story. It's nothing that we're not going to spoil the story by telling you what happens, but it's nothing we haven't seen before, where a devastating accident happens at the beginning of the film.
It's a John Wickish kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's ultimately it's a tale of revenge story, but with a couple clever bits at the end. So I think overall the story isn't anything that you wouldn't expect in a film like this.
I guess if I was gonna match it up to some
bad-wise.
stuff, let's match it up to some stuff. So there's a sprinkle of Ex Machina.
Yeah.
A dash of the Raid Redemption.
It's definitely a margarita of genres.
It is. There are a soupçon of John Wick.
Yeah.
And then there's I'm trying to think of.
Well, there's a little bit of kung fu in it.
There's a little bit of kung fu, a little bit of the Matrix, right, where he can suddenly do things that he.
Well, I was going to say. I mean, it's kind of like a superhero movie. It's kind of like
Chronicle.
It's kind of like a possession movie. It's different.
It's got an aspect of Goliath from the book.
That's definitely something that it's got going for it. As far as it's a kind of standard story, but like the way that they tell it, and like you were saying, the world that they're drawing on is pretty cool.
It draws on different aspects from other movies, but here's the thing, it never feels like a carbon copy of anything.
It feels like the real world imitating all that stuff that happens in movies.
Yeah,
this is
right.
In
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah. No, so that's what I'm saying. All of the little elements that they're taking from other movies, they all coalesce into this new, fresh view on it. It's not, I wouldn't say, okay, so here's the way I'd put it. If I'm going to put it into a visual for you, imagine there's a building, and in the center of this building, like this massive apartment building, right? But it's built in this sort of way where there would be a giant tree in the middle of it. You know, the tree goes all the way up, and then all the apartments and all everything go around it. Like it's a big giant square, there's a hole in the middle of it. And so while this tree may be something that we've seen before, we're looking at it from a different window than we've seen before. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a different viewpoint than we've seen before. Definitely. That's a long way to go to get to that analogy. But that's what I'm trying to say. While there are a lot of familiar aspects to it, it's all presented through a new sort of window. Yeah. There you go.
All right.
I'll cut the rest of that bullshit out. Jesus. But so
it feels like a really good cover band. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of film it feels like. It feels like a really good cover band. Like, this isn't a huge budget action film, but it has huge budget action film elements.
This feels like
really good special effects.
I don't want to interrupt you.
It has not a lackluster story, but a story that everybody can kind of like follow without too much confusion. Because whenever you involve technology with stuff, people start to go, bleh. Like they're like, oh wait, I thought he was. Wait, is he a computer, or is the arm just the computer, or what? Why do they have guns in their arms? I don't get. Like that can be really confusing to people. So I think they kind of dumb it down a little bit.
But what I was gonna say is this feels like, while it doesn't feel like a big budget release, it does feel like the higher echelon of B movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
wouldn't even call it a B movie. I consider this a theatrical release, big budget
theatrical release, sure. But it feels more in line with Equilibrium than it does The Matrix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not huge budget like The Matrix, but it's lower budget, but still really sleek and cool with what it does.
A superfluous freeway chase, just like The Matrix did.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair. No, the freeway chase in The Matrix Reloaded was bomb. With the ghost guys and everything, that was a really great scene. Right. But no, this did have one chase scene that went on too long. But ultimately, the story was engaging.
Yes.
And while it was partially predictable, there was what to twist. There was an extra little twist towards the end that was pleasing.
Right.
While that twist extra might have been predictable as well, but it was pleasing. Yeah, it made for a happier movie-going experience, I thought. Yeah. And not only that, but it actually had an ending, which we're not going to spoil, but I was supremely satisfied with the ending because it's not one of those movies that just kowtows to your normal tropes and things like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, this feels like they had a really clever concept and a really cool ending, and they just take... Are we going to start breaking down the film, or...?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I would say actually...
Just be careful.
I really enjoyed it, but the only thing I would say is... They took a little bit of time to get to the story. I even checked. It was like 25 to 30 minutes in before we even started to get.
I actually didn't mind that.
Yeah,
it might have been about 5 minutes too long. 7 minutes too long.
There was a couple sections of this film that were just 5 to 7 minutes too long, and when that happens in a film, your attention starts to wane. You get restless. You're kind of like, okay, well, what else is going on in the theater? So,
but once it kicked
other than that, once it kicked in and once they actually started showing some of the cool shit, and I'm glad they didn't do one of those things where they show the ending of the film at the beginning,
right,
and then at the end. But
you have to see how you get there.
Yeah, what was
I hate
cool?
That plot device.
What was cool was, and this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but in script writing, usually you want your opening image to mirror your ending image
in sort of a reverse way.
And if you remember, the opening image is a record player. So I'm not ruining anything, but like analog, right? Like that's the whole kind of the big part of the theme is upgrading from analog to digital.
They did.
But actually, it's a reverse theme because in the end, it's a perfect reverse of what's happened.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it worked out.
Into analog.
Again, I think it was a good. I was really pleased with the movie. There were some cheesy dialogue bits, and there were some convenient.
The script was a B movie.
Parts. Right.
The script was a B movie.
The script was a B movie, but the cinematography and the effects, I think, elevated that script.
And acting for the most part was really good.
Acting was good, right? I don't want to skip over that. I thought the
because that's the directing. Like when I was talking about the pacing and stuff, like that's kind of like the directing.
Right.
I think there's some choices made.
We'll get into that, but the acting, you're right. I actually thought the main guy was really good. And there was a little bit of her in this movie. Also, I meant to mention
Tom Hardy.
I meant to mention her, that Scarlett Johansson Joaquin Phoenix movie where he's constantly hearing her and she's guiding him and stuff like that. There was a lot of that to it too. So that is a necessary comparison, but yeah, I mean the cinematography in this movie was awesome. Especially during the action. Like you see a little bit of it in the trailer if you watch it, but there's once the upgrade takes over, and it says that whole scene where it first takes over is in the trailer essentially. Yeah,
does it show the upgrade?
No.
Okay.
No, but it does show him doing all this stuff, and it shows the fact that the camera bends. Like you said, it bends at the waist with him.
Cinematography.
And it's really interesting. So if he leans back, the camera leans back with him. Or if he leans, it follows him that way.
When he sits up and then stands up and starts walking, like the whole thing moves with him.
It moves with him in a
feels very video game-ish.
But it feels robotic in a way that it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but when he's actually fighting, and the first time it happens, again in the trailer, the reaction that we loved was when he's first hitting the guy, he keeps smashing him in these head. He's like, just stay down, man, just stay down. He's telling him, he's like, don't, you're gonna get your ass kicked. I loved that. I loved the fighting choreography throughout the whole movie. I thought that was amazing, and I ultimately just really liked how it all was handled. But yeah, the main character was good. The scientist kid was a little bit iffy for me.
The scientist kid. I've seen him in a couple other things, and
he was very Draco Malfoy to me.
Yeah, I feel like they're like, hey, this kid came in and did a really creepy thing. We liked it. We just let him do his thing.
Yeah, we let him do his thing.
And it was okay.
It was okay. It just didn't blow me away.
I think he was trying to play like this sort of savant autistic kid, but
he absolutely was. Well, but it made, but it, again, in retrospect, it kind of makes sense because it's something trying to, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So ultimately, there's things when you look back on the script that really work, but there's also things, like you pointed out, a pretty big hole as well that we can't discuss without ruining the film.
Yeah,
but
that would be a spoiler.
But nonetheless, outside of the slightly hammy dialogue at times and the script holes here and there, the movie was supremely enjoyable.
Yeah.
It just really was.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, after that first half hour, I was completely on board. The first half hour, I was like, okay, I've seen all this before. Let's get to it. You know
what brought me in all the way? As a horror fan, you have to understand. Again, this was in the Red Band trailer.
Oh,
the first kill. Yeah. The first kill when he slides the knife back and cuts the dude up to here, that's just the beginning of some of the really awesome.
And I will say,
there's one amazing gore part later on that was just ooh, as horror fans, or me as a big horror fan.
Too.
Yeah, the crowd was in it. There was audible reactions.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really cool.
When
graphic
someone dies
stuff
in a film and the entire crowd goes,
or
that's always a really cool.
Yeah, when there's an audible ooh.
Yeah, people are laughing. You hear the one guy clapping.
Yep, that was probably me. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But to that effect, the cinematography also combined with that sort of smash editing style, where I'm not going to prepare you for what you're about to see. It's going to be like, boom, bow, and then show it, rather than
That's true. It does happen fast, and it kind of catches you off guard when it
does.
And
that's what was cool about it, is they kind of fucked with the timing of your expectations, so that everything's actually hitting you just a half second earlier than normally you would expect an editor to be like, wait.
Right,
now,
they don't draw it out. Yeah, there's times where you're like,
wait, now.
You're like, there's awesome. Oh,
Right.
Whoa!
But like even the fighting style, there's parts where he's like not looking, and I was like, oh my god, that's like right out of the Matrix, where he's like, oh my god, I'm like so
again
fast.
Equilibrium too, because
because
that's the reason I bring up Equilibrium is because remember the fighting style in Equilibrium was from one place exactly from one, and it felt very that way because it felt very robotic the way he was doing stuff,
and they were all just like moves, and then he's like, oh, there's two guys coming at me, this is the move I make.
Yep.
You know,
so cool. So that's the thing, like, it was so fun to watch, and there was so much cool to it that I could forgive the script, I could forgive the hammy dialogue. I loved the gore. There was so much good gore. Like, there wasn't a ton of gore, but the gore we got was such good gore that as a horror fan, I was all on board. This is definitely not a horror movie. This is an action thriller. It's an action thriller. I don't know if it's not
a horror movie, because the ultimate bad guy is a sort of... you can't call him a supernatural being. It's not a human being.
It's an action thriller with horror elements, though.
I mean, in the real world,
it's a sci-fi action thriller, really.
Yeah.
Because there's that Ex Machina part of it.
Sci-fi
there's that Ex Machina. Have you watched Ex Machina?
Yeah.
There's definitely that to it.
Yeah.
So I loved it. Honestly, the more I reflect on it, even though there's the scripting and the dialogue issues, I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
Spoiler Dave.
Yeah, no spoilers, no spoilers. All right, so I think we should call it there so we don't ruin anything. You guys, go see Upgrade. I know this review is dropping, I think 7 p.m. Our time, so y'all can go and watch this because it's available as of 7 p.m. our time today. So it's awesome. Go check it out. I think it is worth seeing in the theater. I think maybe a matinee might be more cost efficient.
Look.
Don't take a bunch of your friends because that you might not be like, that wasn't worth taking 3 of my friends.
I don't know.
It was worth paying for one adult ticket for sure.
That's the thing. If you want just a good action film,
this is good.
with a what seems to be a predictable story,
a futuristic sci-fi
what
bent,
seems to be a predictable
but cool
story.
sci-fi stuff, dude. There's literally hand cannons. Like like guys have arm guns, like the gun shoots out of their hand.
They load it,
and they load it in their bicep, and they go like it's crazy. It sounds
which is
stupid,
cool with the kung fu,
but it's actually it works really well.
So like you
have to be careful. You have to like do that so it shoots off to the side. Like it's really dope. You know, like I really enjoyed it. It brings freshness to old tropes.
Right. Absolutely.
So
and it's definitely a fun, interesting movie. I mean, it's got a great ending, so you know you're gonna leave the film going, okay, all right, they found a way to do it.
They got me. They got me. Sons of bitches.
And I think it's actually a really clever, even though most of the film is kind of not clever writing. I think the ending is and the back half of the film is really well done. And like I said.
Which is
except
good to know
for the
because
one
that's where the
car
majority of the
chase
action
sequence, every single fucking action moment is amazing, and it was way enjoyable, and I definitely recommend it. I would watch it again.
I would too. I think I might actually purchase this one.
I might even,
So, you guys, make sure you go watch Upgrade. Let us know in the comments down below if you're excited to see this. If you did see this, what did you think? No spoilers down there if possible, but I really appreciate you guys watching. This was a great movie. All of you horror fans, I think you would really enjoy this. I think you really would. So go check it out. There's 2 things in particular. One especially is very reminiscent. If you saw the original Maniac and what happened to Tom Savini in that movie, you will like a particular moment in this movie. It is amazing.
You know why he got himself killed in so many films? Is because he already had the molds of himself made. So he could make the special effects for his own death.
Yeah, well, and there you go. Whatever works.
Sometimes, I guess.
Anyway, go watch Upgrade. We very much recommend it. Thank you to Allied and Patrick for hooking us up and